So let's start. So thank you very much for being here with us. We are very happy to see you. We still have some people that will join us, I think, tomorrow later on. So welcome from the chairs of IFBRF Cyprus or the 7th IFBRF, part of the series of the International Family Business Research Forum. So a couple of words from my co-chairs, Michael or Andreas. You want to say a few words before we start?
Okay, so thank you everyone for being here today, for coming to the conference. We will try to make your experience here as best as possible, including both the academic part and the social part. And we hope you enjoy both the conference and Cyprus. Okay.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Andrea. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. I'm Andrea Calabro. I'm the founder of this international forum, Family Business Research Forum. And first of all, I would like to thank you all for being here today, for taking the time to travel to Cyprus, to schedule this event in your agenda. Second, I would like to thank the university and the organizer of this year's, Elias, Michael, and Andreas. Thank you very much for the work you put in making this experience for us important. The aim of the forum is to have a workshop that it's of smaller size, where participants have the possibility to interact with each other, when we can hear and listen to your research, but also provide feedback in a developmental way. So it's really a format that allows us to interact with each other, know each other, and hopefully also foster collaboration, future collaboration in the research project, but especially to advance family business research and also practice understanding. That's why I would like also again to congratulate you for putting together a wonderful program and also some interesting social activities. We started this morning with a wonderful visit to Paphos old sites, and this was really nice. It was already an opportunity for us to know each other, to interact. Just a few more words about the forum. We started this forum together with Bocconi University and Alessandro Minichilli in Witten-Herdecke University in Germany. At the time I was working there. And then the idea of this forum is that every year we are traveling to a different part of the world. So far we have been in Germany. The second edition has been in Capri. The third edition has been in Vienna. The fourth edition has been in Monte Carlo. The fifth edition has been in Hasselt University in Belgium. The sixth edition has been last year in Dubai, Sharjah. And this year we are in Cyprus. And I think that what I like about this forum is that every year we are also learning personally something specific about the place where we go, and also the specificities that characterize family businesses over there. So for this, I would like again to thank you all for being here, and I wish everyone a wonderful experience at the 7th International Family Business Research Forum. Thank you. Okay, a few statistics regarding the IFBRF. As I said, we have people that will be joining us later today or tomorrow morning. So 50 participants overall from 19 different countries. We had also some distributions regarding the status of the participants. 18 are PhD students, 32 are professors, assistant professors, associate professors. We also had to accommodate some people joining us online because we had some issues gaining visas from certain locations. So we opened up 2 sessions, which will be hybrid sessions, and they're indicated in different color on the overarching program that we have also on the TV screen outside. And you will also see when you scan the program behind your badge. So 42 papers overall. We are satisfied with the overall submission, and I mean the papers that eventually will be presented here. 32 will be offline on a physical basis here, and 8 of these papers will be delivered over 2 sessions online. Now, regarding the program structure, so this gives a glance of the program that you will anticipate over the next
3 days. So today, later on, 6 o'clock, we have the panel discussion. We have 6 people joining us across the globe to have an interesting discussion. We have the welcome reception after we complete the panel session. So tomorrow we have the plenary session. We continue with the keynote presentations. The parallel sessions will be between 11 and 5:30, and then we have the gala dinner at 7:15. And the third day we have parallel sessions starting 9 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock. So we have planned our wrap up and our ceremony to be at 4:30. And then for people that have actually registered using the Ticket Plus option, we will have a wonderful social dinner and party. So regarding the plenary sessions, we start today with a discussion session just in a few minutes. Just an overview, this will be titled Navigating the Intersection of Religion, Culture, and Family Entrepreneurship, and will be moderated by Professor Panicos Poujouris. And we have a lineup of excellent speakers. Alan Disco Cruz will present some academic insights to set the scene. And the panelists will be Krista Eloparsinen, Yong Wang, Sumaya Sfer, and Umema Udi. And Panicos will introduce the panelists in a bit. Tomorrow, unfortunately, we had an issue with Alfredo De Mansis last night, and Panicos and Michael can tell you what actually happened, and we'll have him online eventually.
So yeah, unfortunately, we plan to have one of our keynotes to be here, to be Alfredo De Mansis, but due to some difficulties with regards to the airline, because they delayed 4 hours in Rome, and then they had to cancel the flight, change the plane, and goes on. Unfortunately, Alfredo could not be here with us today, although he wanted so much to be here. So tomorrow, instead of having Alfredo face-to-face, we will have Alfredo online and Alan Disco Cruz joining face-to-face to have a shared keynote speech with Alfredo De Mansis. So yeah, it was a big night last night. We tried everything. We were talking until 12 o'clock at night with Alfredo, messages, talks, but it was not possible to come eventually. So yeah.
It's unfortunate. So regarding the parallel sessions, we have, as I said, 42 papers across 12 parallel sessions. So this is the structure overall. You see the 2 different rooms, but you can find all the details on the conference program when you scan the QR code behind your badge. So 3 different sessions across 2 different rooms every day. So tomorrow we have Amphitheater 2 and Entrepreneurship Lab. Will also help you to navigate yourself so you can realize where the presentations will take place. One of the sessions will take place in the room, the amphitheater next door. And on day 3, we'll have classroom 7, second floor, and the entrepreneurship lab. And in green color, you can see the hybrid sessions, which will be presented by people and joining us over Zoom. But you can, it's open up to anybody that's interested based on the topics of the sessions to join on an offline basis. And we'll have a moderator and discussant that is assigned to each session, including the hybrid sessions as well. Regarding the social events, we have today the welcome reception just after the discussion session that will follow. The gala dinner tomorrow at 7:15. We wanted to take you to experience the Cypriot, dancing culture and music, and hopefully, you will enjoy it. This is a known tavern in Paphos. And the third day, we have the Halloween party for people joining us over the Ticket Plus option. And if some of you are still interested, please let us know for this event. And regarding now the information package, we decided to go, to follow the trend, to go paperless. So when you check behind your badge, you can see 2 QR codes. One is for the proceedings and the other is for the program. And both of them are aligned. So in alignment with the conference program, you can also figure out which paper, which session you are presenting or you are discussing or chairing. If you have any issues, please let us know. Paphos is a small city. You can, enjoy the nice archaeological sites, the nice scenery. If you have joined this morning our tour guide, you have experienced the beauty of the harbor and the archaeological sites. If you haven't had this chance, you can still ask a taxi driver, or you can, if you are staying near the touristic road, you can simply walk there near the harbor, and you will enjoy everything. Nearby the location. So we are now based at the Cyprus University of Technology campus in Paphos. The main university is in Limassol. So this is a brand new campus which hosts the School of Tourism Management, Hospitality and Entrepreneurship. And hope you will enjoy also. You have the chance to tour around as well. So thank you very much for attending, and we are very happy to have you here today. And we'll socialize later on over a nice drink during the reception. So now I want to call Professor Panikos Poungiouris, a good friend Panikos, who will moderate this interesting session today. Panikos, you can join us. So Panikos is a professor of entrepreneurial management at EIMF Cyprus, and also a fellow of Judge Business School of the University of Cambridge, UK. Panikos, please join us.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Cyprus. Welcome to this corner of Europe. Interesting place, the Middle East nowadays. And I'm delighted and grateful to Elias and the organizers, Michael and Andreas, for this invitation to coordinate this session. I call it a forum, but it's a sub-forum of the main research forum, and it has a more practical dimension. I have always been excited about how culture, which encompasses religion and shapes values at personal and organizational level and at national level, how does it impact on what we call family business management practices, governance, leadership succession, ownership succession? Who gets shares? Who gets the family farm? Who doesn't get anything? And discussing with Elias, the emerging program, he delegated to me this opportunity to put together a panel discussion, and we are geared, to consider culture. And before I invite the panel to take their seats, we are ahead of schedule, so we've got plenty of time. Let me offer a definition as to what is culture. And I will be academic and not very colorful. Culture is the way of life, characteristics and knowledge of a particular group of people, encompassing language, religion, cuisine, social habits, music, behaviors, beliefs, values, and symbols. It illustrates accepted norms and values and traditional behaviors. Culture is a key component of business and has an impact on strategic direction of the organizations. Culture influences management, decisions, and all business functions and practices. Religion and religious beliefs influence personal values by providing the moral compass. I like this, the moral compass, and guiding individuals about their decision-making process. Culture also evolves over time, given the seas of change prevailing on planet Earth. And it does evolve at the organizational level as firms, organizations evolve, propel across what we call stages of business development, scaling up, going global. But also, as we go across the generational spectrum, the Greeks of a Greek island moving to Athens, they evolve. When they move from Athens to New York, they evolve. When they move from generation 1 diaspora to generation 3 in Chicago and they don't speak Greek anymore, they still evolve. When we have mixed marriages, we still accommodate each other. It's part of what we call team building. These are some thoughts, part of my duty to set the scene. However, I'm not the expert on the field. Welcome to the journey of learning. Let me briefly introduce the panel. And with us, we have Alan Tiscoa Cruz, representing the University of Lancaster. And with your permission, Alan, yes, you are Latin American with Jewish roots. No tax implications. Please take your seat. Thank you. Alan will set the scene. He's done research in the field. He has reviewed papers by other scholars. He will set the scene to start with as the informed expert. And then we will have with us Krista Elo Parsinen, Senior Advisor of the Finnish Family Business Association. We call it the Family Business Network Finland. And she is Protestant and she represents the Nordic countries that historically they have been the progenitors of what we call equity, diversity, inclusion, etc. Please take your seat, Krista. Young Wang, a scholar, professor at the University of Wolverhampton. He represents China, Confucian values, and beyond. Please join us. We have space for all the panelists, yes? Okay, good. And then Sumaya Sfair from French Academia. She is Lebanese, Christian Lebanese, but she's also knowledgeable about the so-called Lebanese Mosaic Society, representing Muslim groups and Christian groups and Druze groups and Christian Phalangites and Shiites and Sunnis. Here in Cyprus, we've been following politics in Lebanon, especially when my father was watching the news, and it wasn't always very exciting. Watching the developments in Lebanon in the late 70s, I found it very exciting as a young man. Unfortunately, Lebanon is going through some turmoil again, but you have resilience, and I am optimistic. Lebanese entrepreneurship and the Lebanese society will emerge and shine. Thank you. Please take your seat. And then we have Umaima Guidi, representing Morocco, and she will bring us the Muslim faith perspective. Please take your seat. So I have not forgotten anybody, am I right? Please. Now, I will have Alan to kickstart. You'll take the podium. And after Alan's presentation, thesis, as we say, we will have some questions, and it's important that I map out, the structure of the discussion. Question 1 and 2 will cover how religion, faith, and values influence managerial approach, and how does this evolve? as we move on, as we evolve, as we globalize? That's the first question. The second question will be how religion influences governance and trust faith in outsiders. Sometimes we don't trust non-family members to join the board, yes? Okay? And then the next question will be how religion influences leadership succession, management succession. And then the final question will be how religion influences estate ownership succession. So the plan is that after Alan, I will fire the first question. I will ask specifically one member of the panel to comment, invite one more panelist to add to the commentary, and then invite you to participate. But for this to work, and I'm taking some Greek risk here, if we make it too democratic, we'll run out of time. Your comments have to be brief, very brief, so that we can move on across these 4 arch questions. We have 1 hour and a half. I'm sure with your magnificent cooperation and spirit of collegiality, we will cover the topics. Okay, everybody clear about the protocol? Thank you. Elias, keep smiling. Bravo. So, Alan, you have the podium. Thank you.
All right. So I'm assuming this works as well. Yes. I hope so. There you go. Not working. This side? Maybe not. Yeah. All right. Just while technology is being set, so you know how to do it better. It's a real honor and pleasure to be here with you today. It's always, it's always an interesting gathering because, again, we are going to be talking about family firms. And the advantage of that is that we're going to be taking a closer look, perhaps at different perspectives. If at any point in time you cannot hear me.
Speak to the microphone.
Microphone? Hello. That's better? Yeah. Sorry about that. Let me see. Maybe better like this. Is it nice? Wireless. Perfect. All right. So I don't like to be in one particular position. So if you see me moving around, I apologize for that, but I think it's much better. My name is Alan Cruz. Why am I here and what am I going to be talking about? I am currently the director of the Center for Family Business in Lancaster, and we are extremely proud to be named #1 in the world at the moment. And again, it is a very humble position because of the caliber of the different centers that have been represented here. For the last few years, we've been producing a lot of elements in terms of family firms, but more importantly for us is that we keep in very close contact and collaboration with different family business centers. I study family business and entrepreneurship, but besides that, I am also a 4th-generation family business member myself. My family has a farm that has been in the family now for 110 years. And this picture you see now was the day that, the week after my dad died. And of course, I was left with a responsibility to decide what to do next. And one of the key things that happens when you are in this particular position and when families experience this kind of events is what is it that defines? What is the culture? What is it that we do or the way that we do things? So for us, it was a matter of thinking, well, you have to make decisions. For me, I am not an agricultural engineer, but I love lemons. And one of the things that I did with my dad was to cultivate things. So we started to plant lemons since then. And I'm very proud to say that this year we have had the biggest harvest ever. It's been quite a while. One of the most beautiful experiences about this is not only made me reflect as an academic, but at the same time helped me to get into this fascinating field where religion and family firms intersect. So now that's the next generation. My little one is interested in lemons as well. But now she said, oh, I like chocolate too. So you can imagine now I have to think about how to plant cocoa trees as well. But one of the concerns that we have with family business members and as well as researchers is how do we make our work applicable? One of the things that I was really worried when I was doing this is that how do I teach you what I was taught since I was a little kid in the farm? One of the most difficult things when you are in farming, of course, is that you have faith. And whatever you're going to plant in the ground, it's going to come up and it's going to give you a harvest. And that little bit in between, a religious practice that goes for ages and generations, has been part of the culture of several families by which they do what they do. And for us, that was part of it. When you are in family firms, of course, you experience crisis. And one of the most, of course, relentless events that we go through, or the process that we go through, is succession. And because we go into succession, we have to be thinking about not only what happens on the firm, but what happens on the family. And when you are seeing that intersection, the way the families work, one of the most interesting things that has come out is what does religion has to do with all of it. Well, actually, it turns out most research by a lot of colleagues are telling us it's a lot to be said about this. Now, very quickly, this is the agenda, and I'm going to try to be brief. If at some point in time I become boring or I'm too long, you just let me know. Is that all right? Will that be okay?
We'll let you know.
Thank you very much, Mike. All right, so family business and religion. As Mariko said, doing family business research. My background, my grandmother was Jewish, but my background as well from my own family, I'm Christian as well. So we have different combination of religions, even in my own family. Now, oh, there you go. All right. For those of us who went today to that tour, we share one particular story. It was fascinating when we went to one of the most beautiful mosaics in all the Cyprus, right? And one of the most striking things about it is that it comes about that even before we have written records, for millennia, families have thought about deities, about the transcendental, about the divine, and how it is very much embedded in the daily lives of individuals. And therefore, for millennia, we have had this kind of connection, relationship. But how does it affect in family firms? Interesting, of course, the villa that we went to apparently is, hopefully, is a family firm at some point. So, does religion matter for family businesses? Yes, and I'm very happy that we have several editorial board members of the Encyclopedia for Family Business here as well on this conference. As well, we have Andrea Calabro, we have Elias, we have Ovidia Inventa, we have other members, and if I just missed you, you'll tell that, of course, this work not only encompasses 100 and something topics, but it highlights as well the topic of religion. And why? Because for families around the world, it is becoming far more important. Now, religion and family firms, of course, and something interesting about that. Let's go for definitions. You mentioned culture, and it includes religion. But there are so many definitions of religion that it's very sometimes hard to actually pinpoint one that will help any study to move forward. One of the issues with definitions is, of course, once we choose one, that will actually dictate the way that we move forward in the study. And so, very broadly, religion is defined as systems of meaning. If we, of course, know the family firms are connected with systems of family and ownership and business, religion as well comes about as systems of meaning. And that means that it's very much connected to how the dynamics between these different circles actually operate. And again, I'm going to just loosely suggest a definition of family firms. We know there are more than 100 by now. But one of the broadest ones that we have is a business where family members own enough of the equity to control and make decisions, and so therefore the values, the way that they do things, actually influences the way that business moves forward. Therefore, even though we might think that religion might be somehow separated from family firms, actually, when we take a closer look at those definitions, we begin to see some of the connections. Now, religion has been with us for millennia, and of course, it's a very important aspect of families' lives. And one of the interesting bits about this is that it is not just talking about religion, or we are religious, or religiosity. It's a very complex subject. It has so many layers and dimensions that we could, dedicate hundreds and hundreds of theses to it. What is interesting about it is, of course, it comes in different forms of faith. That means a relationship with the divine, a confidence in something that goes beyond ourselves. And in that confidence, just like we have confidence in that little seed we planted on the ground will bring us a plant, it's more or less the same thing. So what happens here is that when you take a closer look at religion on different dimensions, you begin to see that has connections such as doctrines, narratives, ethics, rituals, and social institutions. And so, if we begin to make the connections of all different dimensions, we begin to see perhaps how, in one way or another, it begins to shape the way that families in business will make decisions and why they do so. However, religion has come about as being somehow a taboo topic. Nobody really wants to talk about it because, again, it is something that in the past was considered to be left at home, in the privacy and intimacy of families. Never how it actually influences a business going or moving forward. So, the difference here is that, of course, religion offers something really unique. It offers concepts, it offers a way of thinking that will influence the way people go about in their daily life. That means if you're involved in business, it will influence the way and how you do business, the rationale and the approach. And therefore, by that simple connection, it is not incompatible at all with the business world. What we begin to see nowadays is more calls to actually understand better this connection. Some of our colleagues have made a great job in actually suggesting, well, let's take a closer look at aspects such as values, responsibility, ethics, things that perhaps are closely associated with religion. But the more we dig into this topic, the more we see the connections with performance, the way that we choose the next successor, the way that decision in the entrepreneurship is being made, the way actually families resolve conflict. And so it is becoming extremely relevant for the way family businesses actually operate. Now, this is was one of the first attempts I had, and again, this is just in combination with other people I started to work with. What we tend to see is that religion, when it becomes integrated in the family firms, is just one single phenomenon. It actually suggests that there is a wide spectrum by which families actually tend to integrate. For some families, religion is actually against what they do in the business. They want to keep it separate. That sacred and secular divide. Whatever we have at home, we don't have it in the business. And the more you begin to see that the separation between families that actually try to integrate religion, meaning, the more you see that families will vary. And again, we go back to that characteristic of the field, heterogeneous. None of them are the same. Or some of them will be very much against the introduction of religion. Some of them suggest religion is transformative, changes the way we do things over time. So even though with the families you have the variety, the heterogeneity of how they actually integrate religion over time. And again, this was very interesting because it gave us that idea. Why is it that we want to talk about religion? Because every family will have its own interpretation, some way of applying what they feel, what they believe into business. And that became really, really interesting. So this is just a synopsis of different studies that I have been involved with. And again, it will range from different types of observations. So bear with me. First and foremost, one of the key things that we were looking about is trying to understand whether there is any transformative power of religion in organizations. So what we did is we asked a very general question. Do any practice that is influenced by faith or beliefs affect the way businesses operate? Okay, one of the key things that we really need to examine is we need some records to show, or actually some testaments to suggest this is the change we have done. And this was very interesting because Astra kind of told in that particular way. How do I go back? One of the key things that they mentioned is that decision makers will be influenced by religion. And those decisions will become not only relevant for the family, but they will move and they will begin to influence the policies of business. And that's where you see the real influence, the real impact of religion in family firms. So we went about and said, well, how do we actually understand this? And we did a study for the Journal of Business Ethics where we were trying to understand a little bit more how faith-led practices influence family firms over time. And what we found was that we went to actually and read some of the testimonies of people that have actually created very successful family firms and are not shy to say, this is a way religion has influenced my firm. And even when we were looking at the different books, and this again, you might identify Chick-fil-A, Cartoon Industries, Hobby Lobby in the US, Mary Kay's Cosmetics, all these different firms, all these different families had something in common. They applied their understanding of religion in different ways. But they all aim to integrate those beliefs into business policy. And that's where we see the real effect on that. So what we actually understood is that when we take a closer look at what we know in terms of the systems within family businesses like ownership, management, family, we began to see a transformation between being centered on the family elements, on the family objectives, to more how we can connect to what we believe is actually higher than ourselves. And that will be reflected more in the policies about employees, or the policies about how to deal with suppliers, or the policies about how we deal with customers. All these different business policies, stated and actually exercised, suggested that whatever families believe can actually lead to a transformation in a firm over a period of time. But the problem is that we believe sometimes it will be very straightforward, and that every family that has a certain religious beliefs will be very quick for them, or very easy for them to implement. But actually, we are finding out that it's not as easy. There's a lot of tensions, a lot of issues, a lot of dilemmas when families try to think of religion and how to integrate them into the firm. So we tried actually to understand a little bit more how these tensions come about. And we try to understand it in the topic of corporate social responsibility. Because again, it is linked to responsibility. Religion is linked to how people do things and how responsible they are, not only with their employees, but in the broader community. So when we went and do something, that's why we did is that, all right, let's try to understand how some families implement CSR, and if there is any influence of religion whatsoever. Now, the important thing about social responsibility across the world is that it becomes an international, initiative. For some countries, it will be something that becomes far more formal and somehow legally required. For others, it isn't. But what is really interesting when we start to study this is that some firms actually are influenced by religion. We studied one firm in trying to understand why they didn't want to implement CSR. They were adamant not to do it. Even though it's a large organization, the employees were asking the family business owners, please do this because it's really important for your business. But they say, well, it has a problem. This is our initiative that is asking us, and this was their interpretation, to boast about what we do for others. Our religion doesn't make us do that. We are not to boast. And therefore, they were completely against introducing changes for the business because of their religious beliefs. So there was a tension in the business between the employees and the owners. What actually happened with this is that it was the employees who actually understood better the religious beliefs of the owners and suggested, let's make a new plan, a new approach to CSR so that you can accommodate and can integrate your religious beliefs in a new way of reporting what you do for society. And it was in that interaction between understanding what the religious beliefs of the owners were and the intention of employees that a new CSR initiatives were involved. So we actually began to understand that religious beliefs are important, but it also creates some tensions as well for families that aim to integrate. Now, that's at the business level. Are you still okay? Couple of minutes? Couple of more minutes. All right, I'm going to go really quickly on this. Swiss minutes. Okay. So what is actually happening now is that let's move beyond the business itself. How does it actually help a place or environment or setting or context? And here is where we begin to see a little bit more in terms of how does it connect with the larger community, how does it connect with the market, how does it connect with the family itself. And so we went about and tried to understand it through institutional logic's perspective. The reason for that is we're really trying to really grasp how rules, norms, and routines were actually having any play or anything to say to any particular environment. So we went to the US and we understood a little bit more about how communities that call themselves religious actually go about and accommodate religion for the businesses that operate in the area. And I'm not going to spend more time on this. Basically, the results of this were the following. There is a market logic that actually suggests this is the way that businesses should be run according to the market, performance, so on and so on. And there was a community logic which expected anybody who is interacting within the community to help, to support it, to advance the way everybody in that particular setting was advancing forward. And so when we started to take a closer look at these two logics, what we found was that religion mediated a lot in the way that the community and the market logic actually operated. There was somehow some affordances to say, we can start a business in here if we follow this particular religious tenets that are beyond what was expected from the market. All right, let me just go really quickly again. And the final one, we again use institutional logics. And this was a great project because we explored Buddhist principles. We moved away from looking at Christianity and Judaism, but actually we're taking a closer look with other colleagues at Buddhism. And so we concentrated again. From CSR, we move into sustainable development goals. And our families that are religious, compared to families that are non-religious, implementing SDGs, is there any difference? And actually, what we found, we went to the context of Vietnam, and tried to take a closer look at how that is really affecting. And the interesting thing about Vietnam is that rather than being a place where it has one religion dominating, you have different religions in flux, coexisting. And therefore, when we started to understand this, to study this, what we found was that, yes, there was a very strong influence on the type of sustainable development goals that family would choose, depending if they were religious or not. The families that were religious, actually, they were looking for long-term sustainable development goal projects compared to the ones who weren't. We're more looking to, this is what we do, look at us, this is great, compared to the ones that are looking for a long-term perspective because they see the connection to that SDG based as well on religion. Finally, opportunities for research. If you're doing work in this area, we have just Entrepreneurship Oriented Development. Some of you may know it, a journal ranked at ABS 3 stars. And we are doing a special issue on the emerging subfield of religious entrepreneurship, where again family firms have been included. Great colleagues, Brett Smith, Saulo, and Miluna, we have put together this special issue and it's just about to close. So if you have anything that you would like to talk about in terms of religion and family firms, this is also a great venue for you. You should see the different questions in here where you can see that the way that we have to explore it. And again, very much very close to what you're mentioning for the panel today. One of the most interesting bits that we have actually examined now is the dark side of religious elements in family firms. Why? Because, of course, we might see it as something that is positive, that can advance, but at the same time, what is it that it has as an effect in terms of any hindrance or any issues that it might generate over time for families? And that is all I have to say to you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. Very insightful and rigorous. We can take one quick question or comment to Alan for the sake of interaction. Any burning desire for a brief question? Please.
Excellent. I find this fascinating and very complex. We are also doing research that what is the influence of a board of directors, especially with outsiders, because we have an example of a big family business in South Africa which has been Jewish ownership, and then they had a Christian CEO, and the whole board voted against the owners. And eventually they voted this guy in, and he just took the business to a different level. And the CEO was a guest speaker, and he said he was wrong and the board was correct. So I just want to know, to what extent is the outsiders and their beliefs influence what you've been talking?
Thank you very much for that question. Again, it's fascinating because one of the things, and I think very close to what you're finding out, is that for families that have a shared religious belief, there is safety in numbers. So if they have a board, one of the key things I will explain, okay, if we have everybody or most of the people agreeing to what we believe, it'll be easier to make decisions. Now, in that case, it's fascinating. I haven't encountered something like that. What I imagine as well is that if our beliefs have run this business for so many generations, we're now going to introduce or accommodate, right, another perspective that might not be very close to what we do, or how we do things. And therefore, then you see tensions. Automatically think about, okay, this is not going to work, even though you might try. But eventually, down on the underlying current, they will say, well, this is not what we feel, this is not what we believe. And the decisions we're making they go against some of the things we see for the future. So that's
that would be
fascinating.
interesting research.
Absolutely.
Because if we say a board is
Absolutely.
independent,
Yeah,
that will be interesting to research that.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for that.
One more question, please.
Yeah. It's okay. Keep it. It's all right. I can speak. I have loud voice still. Okay. Very interesting. I'm just wondering two things. In fact, although I think that was an overall presentation of the religious and your understanding of that. My question one is if you point in the which level of analysis. I mean, is it the family itself, the individual, the family business, the business family? Okay. And the second one, because you mentioned Latin America, and I have some little experience there, from the governance, I think religious is one of the four elements according to my study, along with simpatia, respeto. Religious is in the heart of the family business. And, in fact, I better say, in the heart of family as such, and then continues in the business. So that was my main question. I have many things to ask.
Keep them for the wine session. Please, Harry.
Just very quickly, I think you're right. I think because it becomes very complex, you begin to see the application of any research in terms of the individual level, trying to see how the individual family member. Imagine, for example, there is only one person that has a very strong religious conviction, but everybody else in that board doesn't. Then you begin to see perhaps the connections even by that individual to how it will affect the group, and then you can move into the family, and that's absolutely, I think, one of the best
I
things.
didn't mean this one. I didn't
No.
mean it.
No, I just gave it as an example, but you're right. It's one of the beautiful things about this is that it allows you to peel off the different layers, whether you go from the broad, like we did for that community, trying to understand broadly how it operates, to go deeper then into the business, how the different practices or the different policies change because of the business beliefs, the religious beliefs, and then we go into the family, because then you begin to see the connection really. What the family believes will influence the policy of the business. So let's understand better the family separate from the business, and then you see the individual family member. And I think that you're right. I think if we begin to really pay close attention to those different levels, we begin to see far more elements. So we just be here. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
I think it would be easier when Umayma will present because it's more
Yes, of course.
focused in the Islamic community. So
Thank you for that. Unit of analysis, research implications, we may capture also at the concluding part during the program or during our discussions during this session, because it's a very valid comment. Thank you. Okay, I think in line with our schedule, we can proceed with the panel discussion. Elias, please can we have the slide with who is who so that I don't repeat fully who is who. Thank you. So, question number one, I would like to direct it to Jung, China, Confucian. China, it's the global, manufacturing power of the world. A lot of multinationals have moved there. So, Jung, the question is, to what extent religion, beliefs, religion values, culture influences family business management practices? In the family business umbrella, we include also entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship can have many formats. This is why if we remain focused in the family business, we shall appreciate that. So please, a quick commentary to start with, and how does this evolve? China of the 60s is different from China's new millennium. Please, thank you.
Thank you, Panikas, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm honored to be here and try to contribute to this panel discussion. And I'll try to share some viewpoints regarding Confucianism. And actually, Confucianism is not a religion; it is a philosophy. And Confucius was alive between 551 to 479 BC. He was a great philosopher in China, and his teachings and his philosophy was so much powerful, and it's very influential and influencing the Far East, basically, especially in East Asian countries, including China, Japan, Korea, and also influencing Southeast Asian countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Burma, you name it. There are so many. And Confucianism itself is so much complicated, and we have so many books introducing his idea, his beliefs, his teachings. And obviously, we don't have time to talk about Confucianism in detail here. And here, according to my humble reading, I try to highlight 4 major points from Confucianism, which is shaping business operations in Far East. The number one, the first point from Confucianism is that Confucius paid much attention to social harmony. According to Confucius, he believes that family is the basic unit in the country. And basically, in the family, we have a central fatherhood figure who is looking after the spouse